With the media process complete, we're ready to do a deep dive on the video editor, and the first area we're going to delve into is the interface. Ordinarily, I would say panel based, and this is the project content and task. But in the case of Adobe Pro, the project content and task are split between two panels. The bottom one does the management and the top one does the tasks itself. Ordinarily, I would move on to the next panel, but these panels work together. So in this case, with the project, the panel above becomes a preview to any of the clips you have here. But if you pick a task, then this panel, the panel above, becomes a task panel. And when you are using it as a task panel, anything that you do here, it uses the neighboring panel as its previewer. So as you can see, everything is interconnected and they work closely together. So when you get the project here and you've got a number of clips and you put it and drag it into the product space, it creates a sequence, and you can have multiple sequences. And this is a good way to run a project because you might want to take things in small little chunks. Now you can control or do any task to a sequence using that little small panel, the blue one. Everything about this interface is very intuitive. So again, below is the product space. A sequence then uses the panel above as its previewer, but everything is not as they seem. So the previewer, I'll go into a deep dive in a few minutes because it's more than a previewer. So when you see the whole of this in action, I'm about to now create my own project space and reorganize this. Everything you're seeing here, I taught myself. I didn't use any of the help. It's just quite intuitive. And it was very easy for me to just work this out. And as I did the function over and over again, I just got better and better at doing the task. This is an affirmation of how good the workflow is if you are improving at this own natural rate. So you cannot look at this interface and say it is bad. It's just very good. I mean, I was using it in anger in a way without even trying, and that's a very good thing to say about any application whatsoever. Moving on to another good feature, Premiere Pro is part of this Creative Cloud, and there are many apps on there, and some of them you have to buy, but this one is for free, or there is a free version. This is the story plot tool. Now if you're a novice wanting to learn how to do video editing, this is a good way of learning to do that because you can create a story plot and then do your sequence accordingly. But if you're a part of a team collaborating, then you could all agree on what story plot you're going to do what sequence for. So this is a very nice tool, and you can see why professionals like it or why beginners like it, because it has this added features and they're all nice to haves. I'm going to move back onto the product space and let's look at the layout. First, you've got the tracks organized as video and audio. This is the task panel to act on that video or audio, and this is the sequence view control, which can tell you the information about that sequence, and this is the audio mixer panel. So let's have a look at how all this can be used together. First, I'm going to reconfigure how or what I want to see in my sequence, and it's so pliable. It is a joy to use because each individual has their own way of viewing things, and you just have a rich way of doing that, from your naming conventions, from what size you want the video track to look, from what kind of information you want, to colors, to labeling. It's just so feature rich and nice to see. And that completes the product panel. Moving on to the previewer panel, as I said before, this is a product class in the professional space or the professional class. So the previewer isn't just a previewer, it has many other modes. So you've got your box standard like TV viewer, if you want to call it that. But if you want to learn about or understand or view the attributes and properties of a clip, you can turn it into a test instrument, which is very powerful, especially if you want to make some fine adjustments to certain characteristics or attributes of a clip. Now, it might prove a bit daunting if you're a beginner, but if you want to go into video editing, it's a useful thing to have and to learn. So overall, this is one powerful interface. I can only give it 3 stars because I haven't tested it in anger, but even though I've given this a process driven type of conclusion, which you see that with my picture, it's not one which is overly daunting. I can see it initially being a bit daunting for the newer beginner, but it's one that's quite intuitive, and that's where it's powerful. Some people might look at it from the tools, but I'd see it from its intuitiveness.